Look, the breaking news in the last literally 10 minutes. Ornstein has reported that the talks between Man United and Chelsea are taking place regarding Jadon Sancho. Juve in the mix as well. Let us not forget. This reported potential swap deal, though, of Raheem Sterling going to Man United as part of the Sancho deal seems to be picking up some pace as well. Nobbins, obviously, from your perspective, quite a number of players in that have been City players in the past. What do you make of this potential deal between Chelsea and Man United?
Odd, I think. Certainly from a Chelsea perspective, I don't see where Sancho necessarily fits in because what they aren't lacking is attacking talent. I don't really understand that to be honest. Fair play to Sancho, maybe he can get his career back on track. But from a Chelsea perspective, I don't really get it. Sancho's a player who can play centrally, he can play out wide. But again, we all know that that's not really what Chelsea needs right now. So I don't really know where he fits in. Willing to be proven wrong on that. From a Sterling perspective, I feel like, and we were just talking about this before the show started, I feel like Sterling is a very disrespected player. I feel like he's bordering on underrated at times in terms of his like Premier League legacy. I feel like some people have suggested he's like the most overrated player in Premier League history. Mo, you know who you are. And I just totally disagree with that. Even last season, I know he wasn't brilliant at Chelsea across the course of last season, but let's not forget that he started the season as Chelsea's best player. And then he dropped off and Chelsea dropped off and Sterling got injured, but we mustn't forget how good he was at the start. I don't agree that he's, finished and washed. He has played a lot of football for a 29-year-old. I think I saw a graph the other day. He's played like the average of like, a 35-year-old. So he's not, even though he's only 29, he's actually more like, a player in their 30s or whatever. But he's not a player who's over the hill. He's not a player who's done. I think he could do a very good job. I just don't, as with Sancho, I don't really know where he fits in at United either, to be honest, because he's not going to be starting on the left ahead of Rashford, for example. Diallo, I think, started really well for United. So I think that'd be a shame to bring in Sterling and then he takes his starting spot. So I can only really see it as a sort of like squad player or, depth signing. And if you're Sterling, is that what you want at this stage? Like you get the feeling that you've got one more big contract in you as Raheem Sterling at 29. Is that what he wants? I don't know. So on the surface, I don't really get it, to be honest.
How about yourself, Potsy?
I kind of get Man United and Sterling more than Sancho and Chelsea, if I'm honest. And the reason I say that is because I don't really look at what Manchester United have got width-wise and think it's a lot to offer. I know Garnacho is out of favour at the moment and people are ranting and raving about that. So there's one option. Rashford has been absolute toilet again to start with. I don't know what's going on there. Anthony's not wanted. Sancho up in the air. Amad Diallo, I agree with Nobbins, has started very well, but that's really the only one who has in the wide areas for Manchester United. So I kind of get that they might be looking at an opportunity to bring somebody in, but I don't know that Raheem Sterling is the guy. 29 years old. Nobbins got the best out of him, I must say that. I thought he was actually pretty good at Liverpool, to be fair, as well. But I think Manchester City have got the best out of Raheem Sterling. I don't know that he's dusted and done and finished, like some are saying. I mean, he's 29 years old. He's not 39 years old. So he's definitely got a couple of seasons left in him. He's experienced head and he can have a really good game. I just think he was very inconsistent at Chelsea. But let's be real, the whole of their team were, So it's very hard to judge someone last season at Chelsea, in my opinion, because it's an absolute mess at that club. As for Jadon Sancho going there, I'll be saying to him, go over to Turin, mate. Go to Juventus. Don't go over to Chelsea because he's not going to be guaranteed game time there. I mean, who the hell have they got over there? They've just signed Pedro Neto. Madueke's just got a hat-trick. They've got Mudryk, who they've spent 70-odd million on, rising to God knows how much. They've got Jackson, who they believe isn't a number 9 and is more of a left player. Where's he going to play? Jadon Sancho. They've bought Felix. He's coming on from the bench. They're looking linked now with Ivan Toney. All these players they're bringing in, like, I don't really get it. I've said it a while ago. I don't understand what they're doing at Chelsea, right? But for me, I don't think that's a good move for Jadon Sancho. If you said to me, it didn't work at Man United, why the hell would it work over at Chelsea, who look an absolute mess for me? So I think he needs a fresh challenge. Go abroad. It hasn't worked for him over in England. And for me, I'd be advising if I was his agent to go over to Juventus. But essentially, his agent's going to advise him who's going to pay him the most money. And maybe it'll be Chelsea who do that. But I just find that a bit of a strange one. But I can understand why Man United are linked with Sterling. I really can. I mean, he's made it obvious that he's leaving. Chelsea don't want him. Manchester United, I think, would be interested. And maybe they can get something back out of Raheem Sterling. But it's weird, isn't it, that Sterling's going to be playing for Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, and potentially Man United. Wow. And insane.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of Nicholas Anelka-esque in terms of the amount of rivals that he is potentially played for. Like, my mind with Raheem Sterling, I said it backstage, I'm so on the fence with it. There's part of me that doesn't think he's over the hill yet. There's part of me that wants him and for it to work because, yes, it would improve Man United. There's a little bit of banter in there. There's also a big fear factor that he has played too much football. And at 29, maybe his body is more like a 33, 34, 35-year-old because of the amount of football that he has had over the course of his career. And we've seen that happen to players before, like Wayne Rooney. I feel Cesc Fabregas dipped a lot early in his career from those heights. Again, he was playing Champions League semi-finals at 16, 17 years of age, and not everybody can go into their late 30s. So I'm skeptical about it. Having said that, the depth we have out wide is poor right now when you look at who we have in the form. Garnacho still again, he's hit and miss. He still needs developing. I think he's better from the bench, typically speaking. Ahmad started well, but we don't know what he's like over a full season. Anthony is toilet. He really, really is. Sancho wants to lead, doesn't get on with the manager. And Rashford hasn't found his form yet. And I'm hopeful Rashford finds his form. But I need to treat Rashford how I'm talking about Martinelli at Arsenal, to be fair and consistent. The reason why I think Arsenal, we'll get onto it later, need to move heaven and earth this week to sign a top left-sided winger or a striker, is you may believe that Martinelli's getting back to his best, but as a team trying to win the league, you've got to make a move for a player in case Martinelli doesn't get back to his best, because then you've got this hole all season. And I look at the first 3 games that Rashford's played, some okay moments, should have scored, didn't, and it's faded in all the games. And again, it's about trusting the people making our footballing decisions. And this is the one element where I do have a little bit more faith now, is do I think Dan Ashworth and Barada and Wilcott are going to say, do you know what? Raheem Sterling's going to sell us a few shirts. Oh, this will be a good one for the social media account because there's some banter in it. Or do I think they would only sign a player they think can improve us from a footballing perspective? I believe and trust that. So I'm really torn because there's my personal subjective feelings, but there's also how I feel about the people currently running that club. But if the reports state that Sterling is still fit, that he is dedicated to getting back into the England team and essentially wants to prove Chelsea wrong for the way he's been treated and what's happened there. That element I'm motivated by. You bring someone in with that kind of bit between their teeth. If you can get somewhere close to what was one of the best wingers in the Premier League during his Man City time, even for a couple of years in a transitional period, that could be gold dust to Man United this season, who are struggling to score goals. And even at Chelsea, where the team has been shocking, the system has been non-existent, and the turbulence internally has been absolutely horrendous, he still scored and assisted a decent amount of goals for a player in that environment. So when I look at our front line at the minute, we can't score. We can't really create. We've got 4 wingers, barring Ahmad at the moment, who are not really beating anybody in their one-on-one duels. So I don't want to just say no to it. I am skeptical, though, and I am concerned, but I'm not against it. Where I agree with you is I do think Sancho to Chelsea. I mean, I do and I don't think it's weird. I think Jadon Sancho goes there, and barring Palmer, I'm talking talent and on paper, is the second best attacker at their club. It's whether or not that potential, that ability, that on paper element can flourish. We see it. We saw it when he went back to Dortmund. He was amazing. We saw him in the Champions League. He was amazing, doing it at the highest level. When he was at Man United, it very rarely happened. But I want to give him the same leeway, but reasoning I gave Sterling. He didn't come into a brilliant Man United environment either. Well, didn't come into a club and a team that was being run well and was in its pomp, and it was a great place to kind of come into. So where I don't know whether it's going to work is, can he? I mean, the question is, can Sancho play in England? Could this be a Veron situation that we've seen before, ironically, between the two same clubs? I don't know. And if he is good enough and he is going to kill it at Chelsea, where is he playing? After signing João Felix, signing Pedro Neto, they've put a big price tag on Noni Madueke. Is it and I'm not talking Chelsea down here, Chelsea fans. I'm talking about Raheem Sterling. Is it the best thing for his career right now to go somewhere where, in your eyes, because most Chelsea fans are saying that he doesn't get into our first team, So I'm basing this on your opinion. I'm not attacking your club. They sit in your world now. Why not go Juve, mate? Where you're going to walk into their first team and get the opportunity to play. That's not a dig at Chelsea. So I see it two ways. I think if he fulfills his potential, he starts for Chelsea. But if we go by Chelsea fan logic, that he's not in the first team, it's a weird move because this man is desperate for first team football. So, yeah,
if both of them played to their best
one
this season, right? Say we got Sancho and Ten Hag and him shake hands and go, let's just be professional. And Sterling is, the Sterling that we know he can be. Which player would you rather have, Sancho or Sterling at Man United?
If they could both play at their optimum best, I would stick with Sancho because I think we need a creator, and I think and that's not a dig at Sterling. A creator is so important for us, and that's what I thought we were buying when it came to Jadon Sancho. I thought we were going to have someone to come in and who was going to help, not even take the burden off of Bruno, add to the add to that creativity. When I look at City, you've got KDB, you've got Bernardo Silva, you've had Mahrez in the past, you've got multiple creators in that team. None of them at KDB's level, but at good levels. And that's what we needed. So, yeah, if I had a magic wand and could get either of them in my team at their optimum best, it would be Jadon Sancho. But it just isn't going to happen for us with him. And I'm gutted about it. But, yeah, I'm just going by Chelsea fan logic. If he doesn't get into your starting lineup, then going to Chelsea is a weird move for him. But equally, I don't think your club's going to sign him on those wages for him to be fourth or fifth choice winger. That doesn't make logical sense to me personally, but yeah.
No, yeah, it doesn't.
Opinion.
I think that if memory serves, at Dortmund, for example, one of the main reasons why he thrived there was because he had like Hakimi when he was still at the club, and he was like massively supporting him from right back, and that's a sort of support network that Sancho needs in order to thrive. It seems. When he was at United, like, for example, he'd often have like Wan-Bissaka supporting him, who, as we all know, isn't the best offensive fullback or the best offensive outlet. With the introduction of Mazraoui, who's I think has impressed so far, maybe if you're trying to do like hoping from like United perspective, maybe that's something which could unlock him. But again, I just look at someone like Diallo. You can even say Garnacho on the right. I just think that in a United shirt, they've impressed me more. To be honest, we've covered the Chelsea situation. And just like the last thing on Sterling from a United perspective is that I still can't understand from a Sterling perspective if he wants first team football, because there's not a guarantee that'll happen. Because whether you think of Rashford, he's Mr. Man United, etc. Currently, it might actually, to be fair, have a positive impact on Rashford, because you could make an argument that if we're talking about Sterling starting from the left, you could make an argument that Rashford's almost had it too easy in terms of like the lack of true competition out on that left side. Like in the past few years, who's in his main competition, like it's Martial who would go out to strike or whatever. So maybe Sterling comes in, does that then push Rashford to another level? Because now he goes, oh, I've got someone who's gunning for my position. Maybe that's like a way that I can maybe turn into a way it makes sense from a United perspective. So I don't really get from a Sterling one, but yeah.
Yeah, and I know I'm sitting on the fence with this, but Sterling to Man United. Do you know what it is? What's going through my head is all the people that say, Terry, you like meaty footballers. And I suppose technically speaking, he's not the kind of guy that Standard FC like. I'm so I can't. I was about to get off the fence, about to go, let's say yes to it. And I can't. I can't say yes or no. I'm so torn. By the way,